and the Lord led me into developing corporate housing in the Permian Basin for the oil industry.
Oh, wow.
So in that time, obviously oil was prime, and it's just so beautiful how the Lord, like if you listen, like the Lord just guides your steps in the transitions. If you don't listen, and you make your own transitions, He's got to, like, instead of landing the airplane, He's got to take the airplane all the way back around to teach you a lesson and then try to land that again.
Welcome to the Threefold Real Estate Investing Podcast. This is the podcast where you'll not only learn how you can achieve massive success in multifamily real estate investing, but also how you can simultaneously pursue great relationships with your family and a better walk with God. You can achieve financial freedom through real estate investing without sacrificing the relationships that mean the most to you. Now, here's your host, Lee Yoder.
Welcome back, Threefold listeners. Hope you're having a great week. Great guest today. Blake Templeton is joining us from down in West Texas. Tell you a little bit about Blake, and then we'll bring him in here. Really excited about this conversation that I'm going to have with Blake today. He's the CEO of Boron Capital's family of investment funds and has created triple-digit returns. He's a seasoned real estate and cryptocurrency hedge fund manager, helping apply investment secrets in alternative asset classes like blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, and 2 sectors of real estate. Blake's an 8-figure award winner, regular contributor and writer for Forbes. I'm excited to pick his brain today and give you an insider track on how to produce strong returns, not only in real estate, which we're always in multifamily, but also cryptocurrency. We're gonna jump into that a little bit. Blake, thanks so much for joining us today. Real excited to talk to you.
Hey, Lee, it's my pleasure, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to get into some good nuggets.
Yeah, well, hey, if you would, Blake, why don't you start out? Just tell us. I'm interested in your name. How did Boron Capital come up? Where'd you get the name?
Yeah, it's a great question. The name boron is actually the strongest element on the periodic table in its proper form. And so at its proper form, it has the ability to cut diamonds. And so that was the premise of the frame that we wanted to have our investments work in good times and bad. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think all of us want that. Yeah, so that fits. I like that. Wait, speaking of that, I know you and I were talking a little bit before, and I had some information on you. You started Boron Capital back in 2006. So that means you've been through a market cycle, which is unlike a lot of people. You could be investing now. Gosh, what are we going on? 14 years, almost, at least 13 years, and you've not seen a down cycle. Everything just goes up every year, right? Property values go up every single year. Forever. Anybody's just been investing in the last decade, a little more. You've been investing longer than that. So would love to just hear your story. I always like to ask my guests, hey, what were you doing before you got into real estate and what got you into it? Kind of how'd you get started? But if you don't mind, like take us a little bit through the downturn and how you fared through all that after tell us a little bit about how you got started.
I was the infamous college dropout without a penny in my name in 2006. So I didn't know you couldn't defer student loans anymore. So I had to humbly move back in with mommy and daddy. And my parents had got a letter in the mail, and it was to go to a real estate conference. And it was essentially, free conference, and they're going to sell you on the back end. And I got to the conference, and I realized I was wired for real estate. Like nice. I didn't know anything about real estate.
Yep.
Numbers, optics, metrics, formulas, A plus B equals C. So we started actually in the single family homes, and we're stopping foreclosures, doing a short sale, or discounting the note with the mortgage company, and burned the bridge behind me. I had to actually make money, because I had paid for speed and got tons of education. And to date, I've spent over $1 million in education. And so at this point in 2006, I was knocking, foreclosures, and got really good at just building rapport, getting in the house, finding a way to actually help them stop the foreclosure. And so fast forward in 2006, made 6 figures in just flipping houses that we had helped people keep a foreclosure off the record.
Nice.
Doubled that in 2007, and then 2008 comes. And because we're in foreclosures, it was the prime time. It was even better than it was in 2007. Wow. And that followed through with 2009 and 10. And so we did 300 plus transactions like that. And as a believer, as a faith-filled Christian, it was like the Lord was refining me with this ability to actually truly help people and actually find this, like in the heart of the epicenter of the financial crisis,
downturn,
really seeing like I could actually have value. I could actually produce and serve in that time frame. And so it was actually, a beautiful time. I mean, we would pay for the apartment to get people moved out on the front side and then get their deal worked out and then have them moved. And then it was a beautiful season, helping a lot of people. I think one thing that I would say, though, for those of you who are in apartments or who are even on the, trying to get in the jump rope, trying to find out, where your place is, trying to find your lane, looking at crisis. I have our whole company is based on the premise that you've got to have the lamp before your feet and the light before your path. So you actually have to have more wisdom than you currently have. And you don't get that current wisdom by leaning on your own understanding. So in every way we'd acknowledge him. So our entire company is built with a mindset like an investment deal. It have all the green check marks, but if he doesn't give me peace in moving forward in it, then I wouldn't move forward in it because I don't have his peace. I don't have his permission, and vice versa. It might not meet all the green check marks. It might actually not meet all the optics and metrics in the scene, in the actual tangible, but I feel the Lord saying, hey, move forward. This is a good deal. And I truly go off of what I hear him saying. And then we buy the deal and we find out it has way more nooks and crannies of, profit centers that just weren't being capitalized. It's most definitely a leaning on him more than it is experience of the real estate itself.
Yeah, I love that, Blake. And I would echo that. My wife and I talk about that a lot. And the other side of it too, we feel like too, if it wouldn't go well, hey, but God told us to move in this direction. So, hey, I guess he's trying to teach us something through this, right? I mean, versus if we move on our own, that doesn't feel the same. That's like, man, we messed up and maybe we didn't, hey, maybe it's because we didn't seek the Lord's wisdom here and we moved forward when we shouldn't have, versus when you do, to me, as a Christ follower, it's like, hey, we're following. We feel led in this way. So if it's good, he decided to bless us and I'm, thankful that we listened to him in it. If it's not so good, hey, we're following the Lord and we're going to be okay with that too. And you get that good feeling, either way, because we're doing as called, we're following, we're within his will. And I want to point out another thing, Blake, because I just had, you spoke my language and you said things that I've said, like exactly when you found real estate, you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I was made for. Like this just speaks to me. And it was my same experience. I had no idea. But as soon as I heard about real estate, I was kind of in a position, I had already had, some jobs. I went to school for a long time to become a physical therapist and was doing that and never felt passionate about it. And as soon as I found real estate, and for me, it was all like the numbers and there's the formula. It's like, this is what God created me to do. And the entrepreneurial part of it too, which I didn't know I had. So that's awesome. You dropping out of college to find it, but man, you found it at a young age. So what a blessing for you to jump in at an early age like that, even though, starting from a hard spot of, being humbled, moving back with the parents, but a lot of times that's how the Lord works. And man, you are, I think, a great example of being able to say you're better for it today. So what a cool story, man. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's interesting how you have to have capacity for what he's drawing you into. And, now we run large hedge funds in self-storage and mobile home parks and in cryptocurrency. And, but I know we couldn't have started there then because I didn't have I didn't have the ability to live in the spirit to the same place, like the experience and the depth. Some of the times, in the growth of the last 15 and a half years are those hurt so good moments where he's actually teaching you something and you want out of the scenario, but he's actually teaching you through something, whether it's with employees or whether it's with, problems at an actual investment. But, I think that's something also for everyone to realize is that, to play in the big leagues, like we allow people into institutional style investments. So $10 to $30 million self-storage and mobile home park investments, or cryptocurrency that the actual institutions aren't even in a portfolio strategy. The difference between that and to actually run a single syndication, or just to run a flip, to just flip a single house or something, like all those have so many different layers of growth and wisdom. And so for those of you who are on the entrepreneurial side, like, you just got to start. You got to actually realize that you have to stretch your capacity for what I would call his intimacy. Like, you got to stretch your capacity for like surrender, and stretch your capacity for hearing his voice, and stretch your capacity for that relationship, and like not buying into the scene. And for those of you who are your passive investors, you've got to actually get out of the way and actually trust. You got to go find someone who actually does have that, who does trust in the Lord, and who doesn't actually surrender to the voices, all the drama, who can actually cut through the camouflage of the drama. So, it's a both and as far as it goes on like either path you are. You're the entrepreneur who wants to forge the path, or you're the guy who wants to passively invest and make large returns. Both positions, you've got to surrender, and you've got to realize it's about stretching your capacity for more of him.
Yeah, really well said. Well, speaking a little bit more, Blake, just with your story. So, you kind of told us how you got started, and keeping people out of foreclosure. I love the win-win. There's so much of that in real estate where it really is. You can go and you can solve somebody's problem and have a great outcome for them. Somebody that you're going to lose a house, you're going to get nothing. I'm going to give you something and get you in a new place, and then I get to go make money off of it too, because I'm solving the problem and I'm getting somebody else. I love that, and we've been able to do that, and it's that abundance mentality. It's one of maybe the thing I love most about real estate. So you're doing that, but you didn't stay there, Blake, right? You started doing some other stuff. I know what you're into now, but what was kind of the next step, and maybe kind of even take us through a little bit more of your journey and how you progressed and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so we went from single units, did 300 plus transactions in that world, to then 2012 moving into commercial real estate. And the Lord led me into developing corporate housing in the Permian Basin for the oil industry.
Oh, wow.
So in that time, obviously oil was prime. And it's just so beautiful how the Lord, like, if you listen, like, the Lord just guides your steps in the transitions. If you don't listen, and you make your own transitions, he's got to, like, instead of landing the airplane, he's got to take the airplane all the way back around to teach you a lesson and then try to land that again. So
yeah, good analogy.
That was one of those beautiful, beautiful moments where we transitioned at the perfect time. And, oil in 14 was, over $100 a barrel. And thank the Lord, as far as this goes, as far as investment practice, it's, over $100 a barrel again. But so we moved into developing corporate housing in the oil industry. And we still run those operations today. Then in 2016, we moved into apartments and did apartments as far as Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm in Texas. I'm a West Texas boy, and did apartments. So a value add apartments, over 100 unit complex. And then we decided, though, for us personally, our whole goal was, how do you scale? Because scale created economy of scale. So buying more assets,
right,
create economy of scale, which means we're able to cut our expenses for a management, or cut our expenses on certain services utilizing between the actual complexes. And what we realized was we couldn't buy apartments fast enough in the emerging markets that we were wanting, because the prices were going up too quick. So we shifted our whole entire strategy and realized, up until then, we were buying, doing all the acquisitions ourselves. So typically it's underwriting 100 to 150 deals before we actually close the diamond. Yeah. And then we were managing them all in-house, and then we were doing all the renovations and the value add all in-house, and then doing the disposition all in-house. What we realized was, for us to scale, it was way better to actually kiss a lot of frogs and find the best operators, and then bring those operators in, build a hedge fund model, and then have them, that's their secret trade. That's what they're so good at. Yep. And then find the asset class that we could actually scale with appreciation. So what we did was we did this, and we found the best operators in self-storage and mobile home parks. And then we went and, I mean, I guess back up to go to know what niche, why that niche specifically. We went and looked at all the facts from 1993 to 2010, and we're looking, or excuse me, 2017, and we're looking at the appreciation of all asset classes, from industrial to retail to hotels to apartments, multifamily to gold to S&P to self-storage, mobile home parks. And we realized that self-storage and mobile home parks by far had the largest appreciation throughout the entire time period. So that, anyway, that's how we picked those two to actually scale, built the hedge fund model, found the operators to bring the deals in. So those deals are, large deals, are,
Yep.
$10 million to $30 million complexes. Yeah, then it shifts the game, because now you get that economy of scale. So you're shifting, the filter changes of how you're buying and why you're buying, because of where additional value can be found.
Yeah. Because now you're leaning on other guys, like you said. They're spending all their time finding deals and operating the deals, but then you can bring all the capital, because now you've got this tracker, and I'm sure that you've built this ability in your company to attract capital. And now it's like, man, we're spending so much time finding how to place that capital and then trying to manage all that we're just not able to do it fast enough. So now if you can partner with guys that let them do that all the time, then your job is just to find out where to place capital and raise that capital. And you're doing that very well. So I love that model. Again, just partnerships where more people can win. It's a big pie, so you can split up the pie more ways. And that abundance mentality, you don't have to compete. You can partner and join. One thing I'm thinking, Blake, is as you've made some of these transitions, you mentioned from the beginning, paying for coaching, and maybe some of it's, mastermind, stuff like that. Can you just speak to that a little bit? I mean, all of a sudden you're jumping into developing from, pulling houses out of foreclosure and buying single family homes. You jump into developing, and then you jump into to apartments and buying them yourself. So I'm going to guess that you got into a community of people, you got into a mastermind, you paid for some coaching. Was that a big part of your journey?
Yeah, and I think what most people don't realize is they look at coaching as expensive. They look at coaching as, I don't have the money for it. And you got to anchor what you're doing. So if you're, again, on the entrepreneurial side, if you're actually going in from that mindset, figure out a way, because you can't afford not to. Like, you can't afford that the market's too competitive. You have to collapse the time of your ability to grow and scale and become. So yeah, I mean, I went to the best in every industry we went into. I literally scoured, found the actual best people, and then found a way to get in front of them and be in their presence and create that sphere of influence of people who were, it's like if you're going to the gym and you're going to get a trainer. I mean, all due respect, you don't want the guy who has a beer belly telling you 3 more reps, 2 more reps. Yeah. You want the guy who's like ripped, who's got a 6-pack, who's like beastie, who you want to model, because you're like, I want to look like you, so tell me how to look like you. And so same thing in real estate, or cryptocurrency for that matter. That's what we do, and that's how we're able to scale, so fast. And then you start finding your lane. You start finding, like, as you mentioned, we just found that we're really good at management of the asset from an executive level, and the capital raise and the building the relationships and dotting I's and crossing T's from an executive level. And sometimes the operation side or the lower level management misses those higher level points. And so, and at one point, I wasn't the one who ever wanted to partner because I'd never ever partnered on anything, and it'd always been me. But I realized really quickly that you always want people who are smarter than you. You always want people who are higher, more advanced than you, and you want to bring those on. And when you do that, man, the chemistry is unreal.
Well, and so just thinking about where you guys kind of transitioned to, like, I think this probably transitions to how you got into crypto, because what you guys are trying to do is you're attracting capital. And I'd love to hit on that a little bit. What is it about you guys that allows you to attract capital? Why are people deciding to trust you with their hard-earned money? Because that's obviously happening. So what is attracting people to you guys? And then as you're sitting there, your job now, Blake, becomes, hey, not so much operations. Now you're operating it from kind of a high level, like you said, asset management, but you're not on the ground operating it. So your job is really just to pick that asset class. So I'm assuming that's how you end up saying, hey, wait a second, we decided mobile home parks and self-storage. I like both those asset classes. Like those are the best, but you're constantly doing it. And then you go, well, wait a second. What about this crypto thing over here? Maybe that's a good place to place money. We got people continue to trust us with their money. So what is it about you guys, Blake? Maybe just what are some of those conversations like with people that allow them to feel comfortable enough to trust you with their hard-earned money? And then, maybe just kind of next thing I'd like to get into is how did you guys get into crypto and why?
Yeah, it's a great point. So first of all, we'll talk through the mindset of the investor side.
Mm-hmm.
What we realized was there's so many different paths and modalities of personalities that people get attracted to. And what I had to do is to really clearly define those who are on my team, that we had to have one unit of what we wanted to display to our investors, because that's what we wanted them to be attracted to. So what was that? And truthfully, it's the heart of Jesus. It's like this actual conviction that we don't lean on our own understandings. We're a faith-based company. We hunger and thirst to melt God's heart. The entire thing we do, we work with all our heart, soul, and mind as if we're working for the Lord and we're not working for man. We turn down deals that seem like great deals. We purchase deals at times that don't seem as good because he told us to purchase it. And so we tell the stories of who we are to our prospect investors. And, it's more of an interview process that we're interviewing them to see if we're compatible. Like, you're either going to love me or not like me. Like, you're either going to feel what I'm like, you're going to catch the vision of my heart and my passion and my pursuit and my trajectory of how I want to change the world, or you're not. And if you're not, then we're just not a good fit. Our investors tend to be have some kind of heart for the Lord. Ironically, though, I have some guys who are atheists and say, I don't actually believe in the direction that you believe with your faith and your identity and all those kind of things. However, I invest my money with you for the fact that if there is a God, I believe it's your God, and my money would be well protected with you than someone else.
That's cool. Yeah. I like that. That's interesting.
And then as far as the crypto side, we actually, again, like, call the timeout, cut the emotions of all the drama. And so as the hedge fund and self-storage and mobile home communities grows, we realized that, the digital space was the next platform that was really becoming its own asset class, and that we wanted to then go be prudent and do due diligence. And so we spent years in due diligence on that asset class. And what we realized was that there's a digital real estate, and I'm not talking about like the metaverse specifically, but the digital side of cryptocurrency, and realizing that cryptocurrency is not just your meme coins like Dogecoin or something. It's not just a hypey thing. In 2019, cryptocurrency grew legs, and there actually became utilities. So for those of you who don't really fully understand, I'll give you a quick analogy to help you see, like, in 2019 why we went that direction. But in that sense, like my iPhone, if I use that as a symbolism, the iPhone is software. And someone might say, no, it's a phone, but it's software. And one of the utilities is a phone, but it's software. And so if it's software, we might also say that Bitcoin is software. So some would say, no, but it's a currency. And I'd say, well, you're right. In El Salvador, they've made it legal tender. And yes, in multiple other countries, yes, it has currently been, in the last few months, actually made legal tender. This is like world-breaking thing.
Yeah.
However, it's still software. One of the utilities is legal tender.
Okay, I like that.
But then the iPhone has a platform, and that platform we'd call the App Store. So before apps came out, they were kind of painting the vision that there's going to be utility. There's going to be, there's going to be icons, and those icons on this platform, you can actually participate in them, and you can pay them money, and it's going to make your life, simpler. And you're like, but why do I need a camera, a better camera? Like I have a physical camera, or
right.
why do I need a personal development app, or a running app, or a health app, or like I don't understand.
Yep.
But then now, once the adoption clicks over, you and I are like, oh my gosh, it's so. I mean, I couldn't do my morning routine without my app. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a platform.
Perfect. Yeah.
On the iPhone. And on Bitcoin, we'd actually call that platform the blockchain. And on the iPhone, that platform, like we said, it has tons of businesses. So if we all opened our phone, if you're doing anything in business, you've got, you probably have at least 10 or 50 apps that you pay a monthly fee to or annual fee to. And so those make your life easier because they're all utility. It could even be Excel spreadsheet, but it's on your iPhone.
Yep.
Well, Bitcoin has that blockchain, that platform has apps, and those apps are businesses, and those businesses actually have utility. So you can use so Ethereum has a platform that has smart contracts. So utility is what everyone needs the education on, because that then is where the money is. So when we build a cryptocurrency, when the aha was like, people are looking at the news, people are looking at the drama, people are looking at all the speculation stuff on the front side of the curtain. Yeah. We're looking at the back side of the curtain. We're looking at actually the blockchain. We're looking at what's happening. And so right now there's billions and billions in velocity on all these apps and utility, and that's what makes that specific cryptocurrency, that coin, actually hold value. So then we have a hedge fund, and that hedge fund is a proprietary strategy or a system that investors invest into it, and we typically hold a handful of specific coins that we actually are looking at the blockchain and we're like, okay, that one allows healthcare to actually, it's going to transform all these different things in healthcare, and there's this much money going into it, and there's this much adoption. And then we look at the price of that coin, we're like, oh my gosh, it's undervalued. Look how much money is moving on it. It's literally, so it's undervalued. So then we come in and we move into that. So this is how we build triple-digit returns the last 2 years, is we start looking at the clarity. We get past all the noise, cut through all the noise, and we see what's actually happening. Or we say, this one, this actual app on this coin's blockchain is allowing voting to happen on the blockchain. So imagine if the United States presidential elections, no matter which side you're on, if everything had to be happening on the blockchain and everything's transparent and it all has two-way authentication, there's no way to actually have error, then everything would be made right no matter who wins. Like, you would know it's accurate. Or title records in real estate. What's happening right now on the blockchain is title companies will actually be done away with. It'll be the dinosaur way. The courthouse with records being filed at the courthouse is the dinosaur way. It'll actually be done away with. All that's moving to the blockchain, and smart contracts allow escrow to be held through just an online software. There's no escrow agent, and you literally can purchase a house. You can see the line, all the liens or lack thereof, and you can purchase it, and there's no 30-day waiting. You can purchase it the same day you saw it inside the actual blockchain app and utility.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
There's so many different things, and so we balance it in this partially in swing trading, holding some Bitcoin, and it's been a beautiful ride. And this is the adoption. Just so everyone understands, the quick skinny is the adoption is so early. However, it's growing so fast. Just last month, it flipped, but there's more people that have a cryptocurrency wallet than have a savings account in the United States.
Wow, man. I don't think many people would have guessed that. I didn't know that stat. It's fascinating. No, I love, it's a great analogy, Blake. Thanks for doing that. I didn't want to dive super deep, but you did a great job of like, just kind of opening the door for people like, hey, this is a way to think of Bitcoin, of blockchain, of this new technology. It's a great way, like to think of the phone and like, hey, here's this base software, but they're building out all these things. It's all happening. And I'm glad you used the iPhone, because another way I think about it, this isn't me that said this, but other people have said this on podcasts and stuff. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Is that, you mentioned the meme coins, and I think it's easy for people to go, oh, that, this stuff's Dogecoin, man, it's all stupid. Well, it's just like, to me, during the .com bubble, you had all these internet companies and everything went to the moon, and a bunch of it was trash, and it's gone today. But Amazon is not. Apple is not. I mean, Apple went, I forget what Apple was. Like somebody said the other day, it was like $84. Maybe it was over 100. It crashed to $6 because everything crashed. And now it's at 3,300. So, those are those, it's crazy, but like everything had to kind of wash out. But then the internet did change the world, and people knew the internet was going to change the world. So they kind of got carried away with it and just bet on anything with a .com, right? So you had to flush out a lot of the crap, but then the really good stuff stayed. And I think I kind of see the same thing with crypto. Yeah, Dogecoin, I mean, somebody made that as a joke. Okay, so it's going to, and Shibu or what, it's going to wash out. But crypto, blockchain, it's going to change the world, just like the internet. So it's a great analogy. I love that with the phone. Thanks for that. Real quick, Blake, could you plug the masterclass? You and I were talking about that a little bit before, and you mentioned maybe even giving that away for free, which would be incredible. But can you tell us a little bit about that masterclass, so just people can jump in and maybe give you just a little bit more information, a little bit more education on the blockchain and crypto?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it would be my privilege to do that, to get away for free. It's probably the most valuable piece that we've created, and it's 2 hours, but it is just truly chock full. So if you're a brand new beginner getting into it and trying to understand what is it and how can you make money in it, or you're a accredited investor and you've got a discretionary large sum to put into something. This is a free masterclass on the secrets to get started in crypto and how to build your all-weather portfolio, if you will, and have massive success. So what I want you guys to do is simply just pull out your cell phone, and I'm just going to have you text me, and you can't call this number. It's a specific line, so I can have a white glove service to you guys. But you're going to text the word invest. And then you're going to text that word invest to the phone number 877-771-0615. Again, you can text the word invest to the phone number 877-771-0615. As soon as you do that, then you'll get a response back from me, and you'll let me know that's what you're interested in, or you're interested in investing in one of the hedge funds or what have you. Nice. But we'll get that masterclass to you. And it is just so good. Once you can get education on a silver platter for you, it really helps you open up your mind and understand what your investments need to look like.
Awesome. Thanks, Blake. We appreciate that. And I'll put that in the show notes so people have that number there as well. It's great stuff, man. It's so much good. I mean, you've done so much, and we're getting to learn from your experience and all the educating that you've done for yourself and the masterminds and the coaching that you've done. I mean, we get to benefit from all that today. So really appreciate everything that you shared. I'd love to just kind of hear as we wrap up, I'd love to know just more along the lines of the faith and family aspect. How has investing impacted your faith and your family?
Yeah, I love the question. First of all, my wife and I went into real estate with the mindset of the heart was like, we want to honor the Lord the whole entire way through. Like, this is what we do. It's like the air we breathe. And so then when the Lord gives you obstacles, you get to go through those with him. And so the longer we've gone in the 15 and a half plus years, the sweeter it gets, because you literally don't lean on your own understandings. You don't look at the deadlines or the obstacles as your own issues. It's like you're doing everything with him. So it's made my wife and I so much closer. When we got married in 2007, everyone said, the mindset of, you can't do it. You should never work with your wife. Me and my wife tried it. It didn't work out. And that was just this mindset of like, oh my gosh, if you can't spend time with your wife through issues, you can't spend your time with your wife through obstacles and like learn how to like align and hear his heart and surrender and be on the same page, then you should do it, because you've got to figure that out. If you're actually going to get married and have unity, you better figure out how to communicate through all seasons and not just through the white picket fence world.
Yeah, so, right.
Yeah, it changed everything. And it was this mindset that you're not my enemy and I'm not your enemy. So you and I got to bind together, and we've got to actually be in allegiance. We're the Avengers, and our backs are to each other. And like, we're defending the 9 realms. Like we are the great ones. There's no one greater coming for what we have together. And then obviously the source, if you will, would be the Lord. So it's
good to remind each other of that sometimes. We're not the enemy. You have to remind each other of that sometimes, because it does feel,
it's so true.
Yeah. Not good. So you and your wife do work together, Blake? You guys work together?
Yep. Since the very beginning.
That's awesome. Yeah. My wife and I do too, more so now. We had young kids at first, and she was home with them, so less, but now they're, we do a hybrid homeschool program, but they're in school 2 full days a week. And
nice.
So we're working more and more together, and same thing. I mean, it's not super easy. And we do have to remind each other that we're not the enemy. We're not each other's enemy. It's difficult, but we're in this together. So really good word there, man. I appreciate that. Hey, this has been really good, Blake. I appreciate your time, man. A lot of great information. Obviously, as a Christ follower myself, I love the heart behind it all. I've had the same experience where real estate really does lend itself to that. I mean, there's other ways too. God gives us all different paths, but I feel like I'm, kind of on a similar path. So really appreciate that, man. Really good insight, and you guys are doing great things. So I've got some links here for you. Is the website the best place to send people to find out more? We'll put the, where they can text to get the masterclass, but just to find out more about Boron Capital, just send them to the website to learn more about you.
Yeah, the website's fantastic, and again, for anything as far as you got questions about investments, you want to jump on a phone call, you want more information, you want more education, you want more, a webinar on self-storage mobile home parks, you want the masterclass. Really, the easiest way to get that is to text invest again to the phone number. I'll just give you one more time. Okay. 877-771-0615.
Okay. So that's a good starting point for all that.
Yeah, our entire desire is to educate, because the more wisdom you can have to make your decisions with clarity, the more success you'll have in your investments.
Yeah, I believe that, man. Good stuff. Well, hey, before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests, how might my listeners and I be praying for you in the coming weeks?
Bro, I love that. Man, we're always hiring, and we have many optics and metrics in which we use to hire. But one is that we're looking for hearts that want to melt his heart, hearts that want to align with him, so that the Lord would bring people. We're slow to hire, and we're quick to fire if it's not a good alignment. And so, namely that the Lord would bring those people who are right for each role, and that would be that would glorify Him. That they come.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah,
I really appreciate you asking.
Yeah, we'd love to pray for that for you and Boron Capital. Blake, we definitely do that, man. It's a good heart there. Well, man, thanks again. This has been great. Learned so much. I mean, myself included. Very interested in some of the spaces that you've gotten into. I'm just multifamily so far. I'm 10 steps behind you. So it's been great learning from you. Thanks so much for your time, Blake. And hope we cross paths again too, man. Take care. Good luck with everything.
Hey, you're welcome. And real quick, this is probably not normal on your channel, but would you mind if I just pray for you and your audience right now?
Love it, man. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Father, I just pray right now that that you would loose your favor over this podcast. Father, I just pray that you'd bring more wisdom, you'd bring more interviewees that would cast the vision, that would bring a deeper understanding of how the kingdom relates to business and how people can be in the marketplace. I pray for Lee and his family directly. I pray a double portion of favor, Lord. I pray that you would loose favor, loose the revelation of how good you are, loose anything that you have going on in their lives right now. You bring provision for it. And God, I pray for all those who are listening, that you say that to ask for wisdom in James 1 verse 5, and that you won't actually look and judge to find fault. You would just give wisdom because they ask for it. They're seeking you. They actually want wisdom. So I just pray, God, for all the wisdom they have capacity for. You would just provide it for them. And that would be a testimony of how good you are. Pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Blake.
Absolutely. My privilege.
Thank you for joining us for another great episode. I hope you'll take action on what you've learned today. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider leaving Lee a 5-star rating and review. And check him out on threefoldrei.com. Until next time, 1 Timothy 6:17.